Welcome once again to the next part of the item components series. We're discussing all of the item components in Minecraft. Last video I did 20, and this video, hopefully I get through 20 to 40. Let's just get into it. Number 21, damage resistant. This one is for items. So it's for armor and for items. If you'll notice, this is a special coal, and this is normal coal. This one is damage resistant to explosions. So if I grab a TNT, blow both of these up, you'll find that there's only one left, and that is the one with the custom data. Next one, helmet. So, you know, with most armor pieces, you put them on and they take damage when you take damage. So for example here, this guy shoots me, the helmet takes damage. But with this one, it doesn't take damage when it shoots me. The third one is just another example of this. You know how most boots take damage when you step on something like this. But if I switch it out for this one, these ones don't take damage. Number 22, damage type. So this one is for weapons. Well, actually you can put it on any item, but because it only affects the type of damage it does, it's more useful on weapons. So basically what this item component does is change the type of damage that is done to an entity when you hit it. But I can't test that without another player or death messages, and the only other thing that does death messages are pets. So you'll notice that even though this is a sword, it said the wolf was shot. This is because this sword does arrow damage. Same with these two. So this lantern, when I hit it, it says the wolf went up in flames because this lantern does fire damage. Finally, this bow does explosion damage, but it didn't say that. It said wolf was shot. That's because this only works if you hit the entity. It doesn't work with other, like the bolt. The arrow is the one that does the damage. I've not actually tested this with arrows, so if the arrow changes the damage type, but I don't believe that will change anything. Right, it still says shot. It specifically requires you to hit the entity for this thing for the death message to take effect anyway. 23, death protection. Totem of Undying. That's basically what this does. It just makes items totems of undying. Just like this. Right, so it saved me from death, but you'll also notice that I didn't get back. All I did was stay at 1 health and then burn to death anyways. This is because death protection by default just keeps you alive on 1 health after you've died. So for example, items like the normal totem, what they do is they give you regen or instant health after you've died. So you end up regaining all your health back. Another thing you can do is give effects. So that's what I was just saying. You can put invisibility. So basically when I die, I become invisible. Most item components that allow you to add effects to it also, so for example consumables or use effects, they also allow you to do the thing that Chorus Root does, which is teleport you to a random location. So if I do this, it teleports me to a random location. So for example, you wanted to get out of danger, then that's what that component could do if you make it teleport you. Unfortunately, it doesn't work in the end. I tried it. It will not teleport you back to the platform, sadly. Yeah. 24. Debug stick state. This one, debug stick. So I'm assuming everyone knows what a debug stick is. I shouldn't assume that. Debug sticks are basically sticks that allow you to change the states of various blocks. So I can change the grass to snowy. I can rotate this to face west, or can make it conditional, all that stuff. What? Anyways. Wait. Oh, that's what that one, okay. I set up things and then I forget I set the things up, and then that was for the last video. I was gonna show you how you can use the custom data item component. So if I do this, hold this, press the button, it doesn't say anything, but if I hold this one with the custom data, it says a thing. So that's how you can detect certain things with the custom data component. Right, so the debug state can change all sorts of states of blocks, and that's why some people use it for like building. The people who actually build cool things, they use debug sticks, because you can get some illegal block states, like I believe lightning rods. They have a you can turn them white when they're a powered state, so that's what they're used for. The debug stick state on item component basically allows you to specify certain states that you want the debug stick to do. So for example, this one by default makes oak fences face west, or it makes the oak fence west side active, and it makes candles lit. But if you just notice, it won't stay that way. So you just click something and it changes the debug stick state. So this one is just for the first time you use it, because after that it can change to whatever. Number 25, dyed colors. This one is fairly self-explanatory. It's just the colors that you can make leather armor. It is in numbers. You can't, for example, you can't like type purple in, and so if I try that, it's not gonna work. So how I got the numbers was by using MC Stacker, which lets you put any color in using a selector, and it will put the number in by itself. 25, enchantable. This one is, I don't know, I had some weird stuff when testing it. What it's supposed to do, in theory, is give it better enchantments when you enchant it. But that could be the case. Because it's not a very obviously testable thing if it gets better enchantments than something else, because it's still luck-based. There is a number you can put this to that it will not allow you to enchant them. When I was testing, I did 228 and it didn't work. But now that I'm actually recording, it is working, so right. So 1,000 here, I'm trying, it's not working. I'm clicking this stuff, not even the enchantments are showing up that I could get on it. Unfortunately, it doesn't work for non-armor or non-tool items. So even if you put the item in there, it won't work. So like for this regular bucket, it wouldn't show up. But for this one that has an enchantable value, it actually shows up as enchantable, but you can't actually enchant it. Enchantment glint override. This one is also pretty self-explanatory. You know how enchanted items, for example, I mean, I can just use an enchanted golden apple as an example. It has this enchantment glint on it. It's not very visible right now, but they are slightly different. Right, they have slightly different because the enchantment glint is over it. So what this does, it allows you to put the enchantment glint over any item, regardless of whether or not it's enchanted. So this one is without, this one is with. And you can also remove it from items that normally have an enchantment glint. So the enchanted book, which this is a normal one, which has a glint, and this is the one that doesn't. 27, enchantments. This one is also pretty self-explanatory. Enchantments. This is just the enchantments you put on an item. You can make them more than the usual survival max. So this one has multi-shot 3, infinity, and power 20. So it's that did 48 damage. That would have killed any normal husk, but this isn't the normal husk. This is my damage test husk. I'm pretty sure this should... I have a lot of health. Well, now there's arrows lying around. You can also put this on any item, even if it's not a tool. So this one has Curse of Vanishing, Bane of Arthropods, and Knockback. It knocks them back. It also has cursive vanishing, so if I were to just... and it's gone. This third one just shows that you can, you're not limited to what enchantments you can put on an item. That's a lot of enchantments. Number 28, entity data. This one is for Spawnix. It can also go on a couple other items, such as item frames and armor stands, and I'll show you that in a minute. But for right now, I can show you that you can make any Spawnix spawn any entity. So I tend to use this when I need markers for command things. Because there's no item that spawns markers, I'll just give myself a spawn egg that spawns a marker. But in this case, I've used a blaze egg spawn egg to spawn an armadillo. This next one is just another example. You can spawn like non-mob entities, and this one is glowing because I've given it glowing data. And final one is an armor stand example. You can give it specific data such as being small and having arms, which obviously aren't default armor stand things. Number 29, equipable. This one, yeah, it means you can equip the item like an armor piece. However, it doesn't actually show up if you place it anywhere other than your head. So, hang on, I think this is the last example. Right, so Smoker is on my feet, but it doesn't show up, it doesn't render, because the only locks, things that aren't actual armor, only render when they're on your head. Another thing you can do with them is make them able to be put on mobs. So obviously this would be used in a case like pigs where you can put saddles on them. You can make it so that you can place this in any slot on a mob. So if I look at the command, basically this sponge is equipable in the main hand and it can be sheared. So if I grab a pair of shears, then I can move this sponge from the sky. 30 and 31, firework explosion and fireworks. These are just for fireworks. So this firework star, I gave it to myself with a random set of explosion effects. And these two fireworks also have some random explosion effects I made. Yeah, it's not particularly exciting. I don't know. I'm not a huge firework person. Basically, all this component does is allow you to specify the explosion and the colors of the explosion, and all the other stuff that they can do with trails and stuff. Food. So you would have seen the consumable one last video. This one specifically, it needs to have a consumable component alongside it for it to work. So here you can see it has an empty consumable item component. And the food component itself allows you to change the nutrition and saturation of an item. So here the nutrition is 1 and the saturation is 1, and I've set it to you can always eat it. The can always eat basically just means you can eat it even if you're not hungry, and you know the food is how many hunger bars it fills up, and the saturation is how much saturation it gives you, which would be like the invisible one that affects your sprint and your healing. Nom. You can also do it with stuff like coal, and you can change how long it takes to eat, even I didn't do that here. I'm just gonna start dying of hunger. Anyways. Glider. This one just makes any item you can equip. And elytra. So the chest plate is an elytra. I don't have an elytra on. Same thing with this one. This paper, it can place on my head. Also an elytra. This looks so goofy. Number 34, instrument. This one literally just changes the sound that plays when you use a goat horn. That's all it does. Yeah, it's not a particularly exciting component. 35, intangible projectile. Intangible projectile is an interesting one because what it does is allow you to change whether or not you can pick up an entity that can be shot. So for example, arrows, this one is tangible and this one isn't. So if you see, I can pick back up this one, but I can't pick this one back up because it's intangible. Same thing with tridents. So this one and this one. I can pick this one back up, but I can't pick up this one, which means you can make single-use tridents if you ever have a use for that. Item model. This one is also a pretty fun one that I tend to use kind of often. This is a carrot. Tooltip says it's a carrot, name says it's a carrot, but doesn't particularly look like a carrot. And if I were to take some damage, you can even see it will eat like a carrot. I need a hunger button. Why don't I have a hunger button? There we go. And it eats like a carrot. So basically what the item model component allows you to do is change the actual model of the item. I've not tested whether this works with custom textures. I don't think it does, because you can't specify custom data outside of the namespaced item. I believe that's the only thing you can put it there, because I've tried doing custom items with it and it did not work. So you can only make it default Minecraft textures, but that's still very useful for making custom items. So this is also a fern, but it looks like blue dye, and this is a bow. That doesn't feel right. Number 37, item name. So you'll notice that it allows you to change the item name, but I can hear you wondering how that's different from custom name. Well, item name is basically the default name of an item, and it's also not italic by default. So when you name items in an anvil in survival mode, you'll find that the name is italic when you take it out. That's because what you're modifying is the custom name. But if I were to do this with both of them, if I delete this, the name goes back to crafting table. But if I were to delete this, this goes back to crossbow, because the item name of this item is crossbow and the item name of this one is crafting table. So that's basically the only difference. I tend to use custom name by default, just, I don't know, I'm used to it, I guess. Yeah. Jukebox playable. This changes what music is played when you put this in a jukebox. And this works with music discs as well. So here's a disc 11 that plays Lava Chicken. Number 39, kinetic weapon. This one is for spears. And if you remember from the first video, I said that I didn't know how spears worked. And even do whatever this pokey thing does, I still don't know how they work. Even after testing this thing, I'm so confused. So this is supposed to change something about it, but I don't know what I did wrong, where it just looks wobbly. Yeah. I also gave it to this book as well, so if you know how the spear works, you can change things like the delay it takes, which I guess is how long until you can spear things. Contact cooldown takes, forward movement, damage multiplier, all that stuff. If you knew how the spear worked, which I don't. Number 40, lock. So this one is used for storage blocks, so like hoppers, barrels, chests. Basically, put this chest down, this chest with a lock. I try to open it, I can't because it's locked. But the lock item of this chest is a cake. So now I can open it. In previous versions, what happened with this component was that it would take a name of an item. So you could, for example, put lock and then put a name such as key, and you'd name any item to a key and it would be able to open the chest. But in recent versions, they've changed it, so you specify the exact item. You'll also notice that it specifies the count. So, for example, if I were to give myself a cake that was like a max stack size of 2, and I tried to open it with 2 cakes instead of 1, it wouldn't work. You can remove this component, so I can always go in here, remove this specification, place it, and now I can open it with 1 or 2 cakes. I have another example here with a hopper. I can't open it unless I have kelp. So that's all this one does. You can use, this is where you can use the custom data item component to specify one item to open it rather than another item that is the same type, but it's different because of the custom data. And that's it for 20 to 40. Go drink some water, get a snack. I don't know. I'm sure this bit's been like 20 minutes at least. So you go do that. I'll sit in my chair and I'll wait.